Hi, welcome to today's dose of virtual vitamin Z. My name is Steven, and I'm the curator of humane education for the Detroit Zoological Society. Today, I'm going to be sharing the humane education activity and action of the week. And what these are an activity that you can do that'll help you develop humane attitudes, knowledge, and skills, and then an action you can take that'll give you a chance to apply that knowledge, skills, and those attitudes to help animals in the environment and teach others to do the same. So today's activity is creating a field notebook, an upcycled field notebook. And by doing this activity, you're going to be developing your fine motor skills and creativity, as well as helping the environment. And some supplies that you're going to need are scrap paper or other materials to make the pages, cardboard or other materials to make the cover, and then string to bind them together, and then scissors and optionally a hole punch. And some terms that we're going to be using are upcycled, field notebook, and sustainability. So I'll start by talking about the first two of those terms, upcycled and then field notebook. Upcycled refers to a thing that is made from a new thing that's made from previously used materials. And then a field notebook is a notebook that scientists or other professionals use to record observations and other information about animals and the environment. So an upcycled field notebook, to put those two terms together, is a notebook that you're going to be making out of previously used materials that you're going to be using to record observations and other information about animals and the environment. And here are the steps to take to create an upcycled field notebook. And I'm going to go through these steps, all four of them together, and then I'm going to go back and demonstrate each of them by taking a little bit more time for each. So first of all, you're going to use the scrap paper or other paper materials, page materials, to create pages. And then you're going to use the cardboard or other cover materials to create a front and a back cover. And then you're going to use the string or other binding materials to bind those together. And then finally give your notebook a title and decorate its front cover. So let's start with the pages. So again, this is going to be an upcycled journal. So think about, where might I find pieces of paper that I wouldn't otherwise be using? And so I went to some old notebooks that I had, and I found a few different types of paper. And as you notice, they're different colors, and some of them are bigger than others, but that's okay. And if you have another idea of a place where you can find paper to use, feel free to add it in the comment section. So once you have all these pages, something that's important to do is to try to make them all the same size. So one way to do this is to look for the smallest piece of paper, because you can't make a small piece of paper bigger, but you can make big pieces of paper smaller. So this piece of paper is my smallest page, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use it as a template to cut the other pages. For example, I might be able to make 2 or 3 pages, small pages, out of this larger page. So I'm going to use my scissors to cut that, and I'll get pages that are all the same size. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to use the cardboard or another material. Again, feel free to share other ideas for covers in the comment section. And so I have this big piece of cardboard I got from a box. And so I'm going to want to cut it down. And I want my cover to be, my front and my back covers to be a little bit larger than the pages to give them some protection. So I'm going to take one of my pages and I'm going to put it up on my cardboard to try to find a piece that'll work. And it looks like this middle piece here will be pretty good. So I'm going to cut the cardboard, and I cut one cover, and then I'm going to use this cover to go back to that cardboard and cut a back cover that's the same size. So now I have 2 covers. And then finally, I have some string like this that I'm going to use to bind it together. If you have other ideas for the string, feel free to share those ideas in the comment section for the binding materials. And then the last thing I'm going to do is very carefully, I'm going to punch holes in the pages and in the cover to bind them together. Now, you can use a hole punch if you have a hole punch at home. If you don't, as long as you're careful, you can use a pencil to poke holes in the pages and then the cardboard. So if a young person, make sure that you're working with an adult on this. And that's what I did. I used a pencil to poke holes in the cover and the pages. And then finally, I'm going to put the string through and tie it all together. So here is my finished project. As you can see, there are, the string binding the pages and the covers together. And then finally, I gave my notebook a name and I gave it a cover image. And for the name, I wasn't being very creative. I just said Stephen's Upcycled Field Notebook. And then for the cover image, I drew some mountains because I really like mountains. So there you have it. And now let's talk about the third term that we're going to be using, which is sustainability. Sustainability is one of the pillars of the Detroit Zoological Society. And what it means is it means responsibly using resources. And by creating upcycled items like this, we're practicing sustainability because we're taking resources that we might otherwise throw in the recycling bin or in the trash can, and we're giving them a new life. And the cool thing about that is by using this old paper and cardboard, we were able to prevent a tree from being cut down, which would have to happen if we were to get new paper or to get a new notebook. So continue thinking about other things that you can make that are upcycled, other upcycled projects that you can use to practice sustainability in your homes. Okay, so there's our activity. Now let's move on to our action. So our action is that we're going to use this upcycled field notebook to visit a connecting spot or a sit spot. And by visiting a connecting spot, we're going to be increasing our knowledge about local wildlife and ecosystems, strengthening our observation skills and empathy, and also helping local wildlife and ecosystems. And some supplies that you'll need are, first of all, a field notebook, and then a yard, a park, or another green space, and then a pen or a pencil. And some terms that we're going to be talking about and using are connecting spot, observe, and humane educator. So let's talk about that first term again, a connecting spot. A connecting spot is really simply a place where you go to connect with animals and nature. And then one of the ways that you're going to connect is our second term, observe. You're going to be using all of your senses, so not just your eyes, but also your ears, your feelings, your nose, to connect with that spot. So again, here are some steps to follow, and I'll go through them all right now and then talk about each one a little bit more individually. So first of all, you're going to find a connecting spot near your home and then connect with it for at least 15 minutes and then return to that spot every day for the rest of the week. And then you're going to teach a family member or a friend how they can visit their own connecting spot. So let's go back to that first step, finding a connecting spot. There are two things that make for a really good connecting spot. One of those is that it's somewhere safe and somewhere that you feel comfortable. So especially if you're a young person, always make sure that a trusted adult knows that you're going there and is giving you permission to go. And the reason that you want to feel comfortable there is that you're going to be doing things like using your ears to listen, and you don't want to, feel nervous or anything like that. So a nice, comfortable place. The second thing that's really important is that it's somewhere where you can go on a regular basis. And the reason for this is that a lot of the power and magic of a connecting spot comes from going there on a regular basis to really get to know the other animals who share that space, to get to know the ecosystem. So even if you have an idea for a really cool connecting spot that's kind of far away, maybe save that for another time and think about somewhere you can go, something that's close by. So some examples of good connecting spots are a backyard if you have one, or a front yard or a local park. I used to live in an apartment complex and I didn't have a backyard, but I was able to go outside and there were some trees and I was able to sit there, next to the parking lot. And that was my connecting spot for a while. So those are the things that make for a good connecting spot. Now, the next step is to connect with your connecting spot. And there's really no right or wrong way to do that, But I do want to give you all some ideas, because I know especially at the start, people might go to a connecting spot and then be like, well, what am I supposed to do? How do I connect? And so one idea is to use your senses, to use your eyes to look for a few minutes, and then use your ears to listen for a few minutes, and then your nose to smell, your hands, your feet, your body to feel, and work through your senses and then put them all back together. Another thing you can do is what I call playing perspective games. You might have heard the term bird's eye view. And a bird's eye view is a bird's perspective of a space, like either when they're flying above or maybe sitting in a tree. But there are other views that we can also focus on taking. For example, we might decide to take an ant's eye view, where we think about what a space looks like from an ant's perspective. And that's something that I did in my connecting spot yesterday. I decided to draw what it might look like from the perspective of an ant. And I found that, for an ant, the grass that to me was just, very short could have been a forest for them, full of maybe food, maybe predators. And so that was kind of a magical experience for me to take that perspective. And then another thing that you can do is you can go back, over time and think about what's similar, what's different. So maybe you go, like today, for example, I don't know if you can hear, but it's raining outside and there's thunder. And so I might see things in my connecting spot today that I might not see tomorrow. Or if I go in the morning and then the evening, I might notice differences. So that's another way to connect. Look for similarities, look for differences. And that's in particular something that we can focus on over the next few weeks, because some really amazing things are going to be happening over the next few weeks. We're going to start to see one day that a tree has leaves where the day before it didn't. We're going to start to see flowers blooming, fireflies coming out. So there's really a lot of power in going back to the same spot day after day. And that's the next step, is to continue going back day after day to notice these really cool changes. And then finally, share this. Teach somebody else about connecting spots. Because as you start connecting with your spot and developing attitudes of reverence and respect and responsibility, it's important to take action by teaching other people. And that leads us to our last term, humane educator. And a humane educator is somebody who practices humane attitudes, knowledge, skills, and then takes action to help other animals in the environment and teaches other people how they can do that too. And I'm a humane educator at the Detroit Zoological Society, but you all can be humane educators too. And one way you can do that is by teaching other people, your family members, your friends, how they can start their own connecting spots and connect with their local environment in that way. And so to close, I wanted to talk a little bit about the work that we do at the Detroit Zoological Society. So the DZS is home to the Berman Academy for Humane Education, which is a one-of-a-kind education initiative that allows us to really focus on the goals of humane education in all of our education programs. And those goals include things like positive attitudes like reverence, accurate knowledge about, for example, our local wildlife and ecosystems, skills like empathy and observation, and then actions and teaching other people. And so I hope you notice that by doing the humane education activity of the week and then the action of the week, you're participating in this humane education initiative and you're developing those qualities in yourself, and you're also having an opportunity to share that with others. So before I close, I wanted to encourage you to tune in tomorrow, because my colleague Claire is going to be sharing some information and activities about animals who live at the Detroit Zoo and the work that we're doing to help them. So thanks so much for your time. Have a great day and stay safe. Bye.